You've just received a parking charge notice from Euro car parks and you're fuming, or maybe confused. You might be thinking, can I appeal this? Should I? If you drive a lot, especially in the UK and Europe, you've probably parked in a Euro car park. They're one of the largest private car park operators around, overseeing more than 1,000 car parks. They're basically the big fish in the private car parking pond, and their private charge notices are, unfortunately, a fact of life for many motorists. If you've got a PCN, there's a myriad of reasons why you might have grounds to dispute this fine. For example, maybe you didn't actually park correctly and paid the appropriate fee but still got fined. Or perhaps you had a very valid reason for not getting back to your car in time. Equipment failure is another reason. You arrived, but lo and behold, the payment machines were out of order. And let's not forget about signage, or the lack of it. If there were no clear signs indicating that CCTV was in operation or the signage was inadequate, that could also provide you with an opportunity to challenge the notice. The key takeaway here is, if any of these situations or something similar applies to you, you may very well have a strong case for appeal. Now let's talk about what happens when you decide to throw that parking charge notice in the glove compartment and just forget about it. That's a bad idea. Although these are not council issued fines and aren't official in the way a government fine would be, they still have teeth. If you don't pay your appeal, you're opening yourself up to possible court action. And if you live in Scotland and you think you're off the hook, unfortunately you're not. The laws apply there as well. So as tempting as it is, ignoring the fine is probably not the best strategy. So talking about signage again, it's essential to understand that private car parks, like Euro car parks, must have clear signage outlining the terms and conditions of using their facility. This is according to the British Parking Association's Code of Practice. Always read these signs carefully. If the sign's text looks like it belongs on the back of a shampoo bottle, then take a photo. If you can show the signage was unclear, too small, or inadequate in some other way, then that's another point in your favour for an appeal. Nobody wants to part with their hard-earned cash, but how much will you have to pay? Well, at the time of making this video, the most you could be fined by Euro car parks is £100. But here's a silver lining: if you pay within that first couple of weeks, you're entitled to a discount of at least 40%. That means the fine could be £60. It's not ideal, but it's a lot better than £100. If you're leaning towards an appeal, Euro Car Parks has a fairly straightforward 5-step online appeal process. You'll need to verify your parking fine, provide your personal details, and then state your grounds for appeal. They'll ask for evidence like photos, receipts, like anything really that can back up your claim. And then once you submit your appeal, it's out of your hands. Well, temporarily at least. If Euro Car Parks accepts your appeal, hooray! And if not, don't lose hope just yet. If your appeal's rejected, you can still escalate it to the Parking on Private Land Appeals, or POPLA for short. They're an independent body that will review your appeal and make a final decision. Euro Car Parks, being a member of the British Parking Association, is obliged to follow POPLA's decision, which, let's face it, could work in your favour. One last thing to consider when weighing up to appeal or just pay up: the discount for early payment won't apply after you enter into the appeals process, so it's a gamble that you've got to consider. So ask yourself this: how strong is your evidence? How sure are you that you have a case? It's a judgment call that only you can make. Finally, if you decide to just pay and have it done with, you've got several options. You can pay with a debit or credit card, cash, or even over the phone. And for future parking, Euro Car Parks has an app called ECP Park Buddy to manage your parking and potentially avoid future fines. It's worth it if you use them a lot. If you're still confused and wondering whether your appeal would be successful, then you could speak to an online solicitor. JustAnswer's running a £5 trial, and you can ask as many questions as you want about your PCN, and I'll leave that link below the video for you, just in case you want to run it by them.